Hey, Foot Clan, Navy Federal has a mission to put members first by making their financial goals the priority. Receive a lifetime of membership benefits to help you and your family accomplish your life missions, like a full suite of financial products designed to fit your needs, 24/7 life support, and access to over 300 branches on or near military bases. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information or call 1-888-842-6328 or download the Navy Federal Credit Union app. Message and data rates may apply.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Ow! What are you, Michael Jackson over there?
That's how my morning started. Was that sound?
Ooh,
that sounds like a toe stub. Yeah, it's got to be.
Very close. I ran a 9 route straight into the coffee table.
Shins?
Drew blood. Yeah,
Ooh.
on the shin. I'm telling you, if I was a soccer player or Jordan Matthews, I'd be out for the year. That's how my morning got started. So, I'm already a little under the weather, and then got up and just shinned myself.
The man's coming off like his best game of the year. He's on the bye week, and you're taking pot shots at Jordan Matthews.
He's gone. Jordan Matthews is coming off the best game. Oh, they traded for someone else to replace him. It doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
In my defense, I also took pot shots at soccer players.
I was proud of you for that.
Yeah, but that needs to be done.
just
welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, Monday, November 5th. Studs and duds on the show, the rewind and rising stars. Our reaction to the weekend, to the Sunday night game. We'll get you ready to go. We've got the Monday night game, barn burner tonight, Tennessee, Dallas. We'll talk about any updates for that.
I had already moved on to next week.
That's fine.
Oh, I wish.
Mentally, I was like, man, that was a great weekend of football.
If you're not the Ezekiel Elliott owner, moving on is the appropriate expectation.
There's obviously with fantasy football, plenty of people out there still have things riding on tonight, like myself, Mike. Who wins this situation? 2 teams exactly tied. One has Corey Davis. One has Dion Lewis.
Oh man,
who wins that?
I would certainly put my money on the Dion Lewis side because Corey Davis has had like one top 40 week all year. So that's
my situation. I've got Dion Lewis.
I got Corey Davis.
Wait, you have Dion?
I do.
All right. I'm
okay.
taking Dion Lewis maybe with I'll give you the 25%. Chance over what Corey Davis.
Mamas, don't let your boys grow up to be dependent on the Titans and the Cowboys. Look, I got some one-liner reactions from the Foot Clan to the weekend. We've got carry on, nothing to see here.
Yep. I mean, this is Detroit. What happened?
Started Matthew Stafford.
Yeah,
Matthew Stafford. Yeah. You got the cream of the crop, obviously.
So good.
Feeling good.
Sutton is better than nothing, but not by much.
Ain't got nothing on this Sutton.
Yeah, not great. Rob Gronkowski?
That's my type of pun right there.
Yeah. DJ needed more, Mike.
He was really ruining my trifecta of the week of the rookie wide receiver. If he came, because Traquan Smith came through, Marquez Valdes-Scantling came through, DJ needed more.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem was his fellow compadre, Curtis Samuel, kept stealing all my fantasy points.
That dude is really good at running laterally across the field. I've seen him do it multiple times this year. Duke Johnson, or as this listener puts it, Fluke Johnson. Fluke Johnson put up a big game against me.
No.
Dropped a Duke on my rival.
Yeah, that works for this show.
John Frown. John Frown. What a disappointing game that was. For Evans' sake, sorry, Mike Evans owners. That was not what you wanted. And then Ed Dickson, Jason. You've got Red Dead Dickson.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
And then
Red Dead Dickson.
The rest of them weren't appropriate for the show with Ed Dickson. Let's put it that way.
Red Dead Dickson.
Yeah.
Mike and I,
Nick Vanette stealing all my.
of all the things that could happen, nothing gave Mike and I more pleasure than trolling Jason about Ed Dickson's goose. I sent him a picture of a goose.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah. That was a good goose picture.
It was a great goose picture. My children loved it.
All right. Well, you can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Don't forget FootClanGiveaway.com. You can win a signed Saquon Barkley jersey. That'll be ending soon. And a reminder, FootClanVote.com.
Mm-hmm. It's a day of the week that ends in Y. That's what I told people on the live stream
Yeah,
yesterday.
if you want to help us win the iHeartRadio Podcast Awards, you can go over there. You can vote every day, up to 5 times a day.
I'm doing it right now.
Click that. What does it say? Like
cast 4 more votes.
Cast 4 votes.
Yeah. And I understand, Jason, you got a lot of Red Dead Redemption in this weekend. Is this true?
That is true. My wife was out of town, and so I told Mike this morning, should, God forbid, my wife pass on or leave me, I would be 600 pounds.
Oh,
Because
that's what.
the fast food and video game life.
So you went full, like, high school Jason?
Yeah.
College Jason?
Yeah.
Single Jason?
Yeah, exactly.
How are
So-
your kids?
I haven't
Because you
seen
do
them in
have
days.
to take care of 3 children.
I have children?
Well, she never told me I had to watch them. All right, let's get into the rewind.
Weekly Rewind.
All right, this wasn't good news for A.J. Green owners.
No.
He is expected to miss at least a few games, according to Adam Schefter. He is consulting with a foot specialist to determine whether surgery is on the table.
Yeah, well, wasn't the specialist Dr. James Andrews?
No, Robert Anderson.
Okay. Whew. I thought I
James
missed.
Andrews spends his time on knees,
Right.
Yes.
not toes, Mike.
Well,
Head,
fair enough.
shoulders.
Yeah, you have a doctor for each of those.
Right. Knees and toes. Yeah, it's been a really bad year for the Bengals health-wise. I mean, you've lost Mixon at times. You've lost Ross. Well, I mean, you always lose Ross.
You haven't found him yet.
A.J. Green.
You didn't love it.
But let's be honest here. John Ross, off the bye, no A.J. Green. Is that something to look at? Because, look, I know Tyler Boyd is going to get peppered with targets. But where does it come to Uzama if Green's out? I mean, there has to be someone catching the ball, and John Ross is next man up.
I agree that it might be a slight bump up for Uzama and Ross, but overall I think it's just a huge hit for the offense. I think this hurts Andy Dalton. I think this could hurt pretty much everyone,
Including Mixon.
Exactly.
Chris Carson, sidelined for the second half with a thigh injury. Chris Ivory left with a shoulder injury. By the way, if Carson misses time, Mike Davis.
Yes.
Start him up.
He looks like the best running back there. Like when I watch all 3 of them, Penny, Carson, and Mike Davis, and Carson's looked very good as well. But other than running backwards after getting a first down and doing stupid things.
So much juice that he's dumb sometimes.
Right.
He doesn't just take the 3 yards. But, yeah, so. All right, the third-ranked center in football, Broncos center Matt Paradis, suffered a fractured right fibula in Week 9, so he's going to miss time. And then there is a report this morning that Adam Schefter came out and said Hunter Henry has a chance to return to action next month. I don't know how interested we should be in him or not.
Only if you have an IR spot that's
Yeah,
not currently being used.
It's ironic because I had him on an IR spot for the entire year and just dropped him. But mostly based on reports previous to this saying, look, maybe the playoffs, like the NFL playoffs, not the fantasy playoffs. So, and we know Gronk, Sony Michel, Stephon Diggs, they all missed the game. No Geronimo Allison this past week. We'll keep you up to date on every injury as we head into Week 10. Let's get into the Stud Muffins.
This week's Fantasy Stud Muffins.
All right, let's start with who I think is the NFL MVP, and that's Drew Brees.
Oh.
Now, part of that is the whole political, like, he's never won one. He's like one of the best players in history to never win an
getting the old man bump.
MVP, so he gets an old man bump, but
Didn't that was like happening to Kobe?
something like that. Yeah,
Where
I mean,
it was somehow Kobe just didn't have one, and they were like, okay, fine.
that's exactly how it feels. But
fine.
25 for 36 for 346 and 4 doesn't hurt that, as well as breaking every efficiency record that he sets.
Right. He
The
keeps
previous
smashing
year.
his own records.
But they've won 7 straight games. They are now tied, in the loss column with the Rams and I think he's just playing outstanding. Jared Goff, Matt Ryan, Pat Mahomes, Big Ben, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick in defeat put up 4 touchdowns.
Also sucking for a majority of that game.
Welcome to garbage time. And the truth is they get down by 1 million, and then he turns the magic switch.
Yes.
And then they brought it within, what, 1 score?
Yeah.
That's how he fills up the meter.
That's right.
Is by
Points
sucking.
against?
Yes. It fuels him up, and then he hulks out.
I think the biggest surprise of those names is probably Big Ben.
Yes.
Going to Baltimore, having a pretty good game there, and looked like he was going to be out. He rushed for a touchdown, which gave him 3 on the day, and here the Steelers are at the top of the division.
Yeah. For Big Ben, it really was the rushing touchdown that
put him over the edge.
That made it like, oh, that's a great fantasy game. I mean, 240. Well, what did he put up through the air? 270 and 2. That's better than I was expecting.
Yes,
but
yes.
It was the rushing touchdown that saved him.
Yeah, and then there's been some rumors about John Harbaugh's job.
Which is
So I don't know what there is to that. Kareem Hunt, moving into running backs. Kareem Hunt
he's nasty.
Mike just caught every time he got the ball. Mike just I was sitting in the studio with him, and Mike just goes, "There's Mr. Nasty again, Mr. Nasty."
Because he's nasty.
He is nasty. He's one of my favorite players to watch. I mean, he is
so
just
fun.
I mean, hide your kids.
You want to know what
he runs as angry as Marshawn runs.
You want to know what's really cool about the Chiefs is genuinely Pat Mahomes is one of my favorite players to watch if he's just by himself. Just watch. Kareem Hunt is one of my favorite players to watch just by himself, his runs. Travis Kelce is one of my favorite players to watch just by himself if he's catches.
Andy Reid, my favorite coach to watch.
So
Hood.
Yeah. Was that Hard Knocks?
I mean,
It
was Hard Knocks.
It was.
But
Kareem Hunt, monster game. Alvin Kamara. Who do you want rest of the season? Hunt or Kamara?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a great question. I think I'm going to go with Hunt.
Really?
I mean, it's so close.
I'll take Kamara.
You still have – I mean, both guys are unbelievable. Both guys are in super high-scoring offenses. The only difference that I see is that one of them can't lose the work in a certain game script. A certain game can't – Spencer Ware is not going to have a game where he just comes in and takes several of the goal line touchdowns and things like that. But, I mean – I'm not trading one for the other. I don't like to lateral trade. Whoever you have, you're happy with. I remember this was such a fun, great week of showing why stud running backs are important for fantasy. There was a stretch where it was just 3 plays in a row in the NFL where it was an Alvin Kamara touchdown, and then Melvin Gordon touchdown, and then a Todd Gurley touchdown. It was just like, oh, yeah, the big guys, they just always get touchdowns.
Yeah. If I could trade Hunt for Kamara, I'd do it in a heartbeat because you avoid a bye and you've got a better playoff schedule for the Saints.
I
so
forgot
those two
about
pieces.
Absolutely. The bye week, if you're talking about the same caliber of player, both great, don't lose them for a week.
Yeah, and Tampa, Carolina, Pittsburgh for Kamara to finish the season seems a little better than Baltimore, the Chargers for Hunt. But, I mean, look, you're splitting hairs. Both are great. How about this? Have both.
Oh, what a great idea, Andy.
Find a way to get both.
This is why you win
titles. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, big game. He was actually my number 1 ranked running back on the week. Ended up with 2 goal line carries. Sometimes those go to Cam. They didn't.
Sometimes they go to the fullback.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about it is you had 2 other carries from the one that didn't go to McCaffrey, but he was dominant.
Cam pulled out a decent day by the end, but it was so frustrating. As Cam was super highly rated by just about everybody when in that game, they're up like 30-0 in the blink of an eye, and Cam Newton, like everything was a long run.
Right.
And it's like, what? Come on, Cam.
James White, Cordarrelle, Patterson.
Hey, Patterson.
That was fun. A lot of that production came when James White left the field with an injury, and Patterson came in and ran like the
Dickens
monster he is.
He's so big.
Tevin Coleman, James Conner, Duke Johnson, Fluke Johnson. Is it a fluke for Duke?
Here's what we had talked about for Duke Johnson was the new OC. He keeps it hot because he's Freddie Kitchens. It's always hot in the kitchen. We had talked about he's from the Bruce Arians system. Do you guys remember what did Arians call that? Because now it's something like run and gun, but it had to do with how
a lot of vertical passing game. No fullback.
But they utilized passing to the running back a lot. Now, game script certainly helped that they were playing against the Chiefs and they really needed to catch up. But this is a very positive sign that Duke Johnson was actually being utilized, and it was in the passing work. I mean, he got 1 carry. Who cares about that? It's the targets. For
last season, Duke Johnson in PPR leagues was a running back 1. Everyone forgets because he doesn't get the carries. It's all in the passing game. He is uber talented there, and it's not going away. He's going to put up back-to-back great weeks. It's not going to be a fluke. Next week, Atlanta is his matchup. They're gonna score on him, and you're going to have to dump it off to Duke again.
I will chase those points with Duke this week.
Interesting. I wish. Last week I was laughing on the show about picking up Austin Eckler and the opportunity I had to find a running back. And so that if Austin Eckler hadn't been dropped, I wouldn't have picked him up, and Duke Johnson was in my lineup, and I would have won my game.
That would have been.
That's fantasy football for you.
Yes.
Austin Eckler was disappointing.
Well, you've got him next week. You can take a healthy Duke against Atlanta.
No, I get Saquon and Mixon back, so I think I'll be all right. Melvin Gordon, he was back in a big way and looked fine. I mean, that was the important thing. Coming off the injury, 16 for 113 and a touchdown. And then Jordan Howard, what are those Harry Potter characters, the ones that suck the souls out of people?
Dementors,
right? I've seen these movies, right? The Dementors are haunting. Jordan Howard did a soul-sucking move on all Tariq Cohen owners this week.
Yeah. 2
touchdowns. Tariq Cohen basically was a crystallid, just invisible, just frozen.
This is another game where it's 30-0 in the blink of an eye. Buffalo didn't show up. The Bears did. And at that point, when you're just clock killing and doing that, you're not
it's
down.
True, but it doesn't. Nobody sat Cohen. That's the problem.
Well, it was
because you expect. You normally count on those guys and you say, hey, maybe they're the ones that get me that 30-point lead.
2 defensive scores will destroy all fantasy output for an offense.
And is somehow too few for Nathan Peterman. He likes to get that up to 4.
Yeah. Maybe next week, buddy.
I wonder how many touchdown passes Buffalo Bills quarterbacks have thrown to their team versus the other team. How close
I guarantee you that the pick sixes exceed the total touchdown passes by the quarterbacks.
I guess it's easier.
That's a very good question.
I'm almost positive.
We got to research that. Baby.
Yeah. All right. Wide receivers. Hello, Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
He was already having a monster game, over 100 yards when he put up a 72-yard touchdown. Helped Drew Brees out there. Adam Humphries.
Oh, it's pronounced with an Humphries.
8 for 82 and 2. On 8 targets. It seemed to be what the opposing team was giving him.
You want to talk about soul-sucking? Adam Humphries.
If you own D-Jax,
was
Mike
the
Evans,
bane of all fantasy players. Because, look, I'm sure there's a few people out there that played Humphries, and this was like
pronounced with an Humphries.
Thank you. This is like the best win you've ever gotten because you called your shot that Humphries was going to have a good game, but Evans nothing. We had D-Jax basically nothing.
We have one of our people that work here in the office. He has a 5-2 record in our dynasty league, and his team is the worst team
of all
that you've ever visually seen. Like if the optics are bad, right?
They were 5-3.
5-3. So this week I played him, and his team is terrible, and he left Adam Humphries on his bench.
Whoopsie!
He could have had that surprise game. Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cook.
How dare you? How dare you, sir?
I didn't skip them. They're lumped together.
No.
Choose what you want to say about him.
You cannot lump Julio Jones in. We must celebrate.
Yes. Celebrate good times.
Touchdown.
First touchdown.
It was right there, Jason.
First touchdown since what, week 12 of last year?
It was since forever.
All you had to do.
It's been 87 years.
It was hard to get in there.
If you didn't see the play, the entire Falcons came together and celebrated like they just won a Super Bowl, and I thought Julio was going to cry. You could tell when he's staring at the ref going, did I get it? Did I get it? And the ref put his hands up and he's like, yes, I've done it. What is this? How can one of the best, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL not ever score touchdowns?
know, man.
Atlanta.
I mean, it was inevitable.
Started rioting in the streets. Atlanta
started right. I almost traded Beckham for Julio a couple weeks ago because I just didn't believe it could keep going. Like, it's just impossible. You can't catch that many. He was on pace for 1,800 yards. Some of those yards crossed that end zone. I mean, it's just inevitable. Brandon Cooks, big game, 6 for 114. Revenge game.
Yeah.
What do you make of Josh Gordon's game? 5 for 130 on 10 targets?
I hate it. I mean, that's just a personal note because I was playing against him. Looked like I had it locked down. He's like, his hand was hurting. He had done very little on a lot of targets. I'm like, I got this in the bag.
That hurt you too, Baby Josh, right? Baby Josh is hiding over there. I can't see him. Are you even here? Oh, yeah, it hurt him. It hurt him.
The targets were good, but I don't feel like Josh Gordon, like watching this game, paying attention to it on a personal level, I didn't feel like he had a very good game outside of that one play.
Except he did, because that was a 55-yard touchdown, right?
How far?
I was looking right at him.
55!
Oh! I think it was 55. Whatever.
It was a 22-yard touchdown.
No, but I mean, even if you remove that, he still had a nice yardage game, and this was the thing about Josh Gordon. They were taking so many shots to him. Eventually, you knew the touchdowns were going to come. You just had to keep the faith.
Little flea flicker right off the bat to give him a deep shot after a couple runs.
Right.
They went after him quick. Bills have 3 touchdowns to their team and 3 pick sixes.
Oh!
Man,
So-
the race is on.
I understand that the Pac-12 is interested in picking Buffalo up.
Oh!
No?
No. I mean, they're probably interested in that because they would dominate.
That would feel good.
That would feel really good for
Oh,
them.
man. See, that's my kind of gaming.
Yeah, that's what you're the kid
Pros versus college.
you would have
Yes.
gone. You wanted to enter the Little League with your younger brother.
Yeah, if I
So
could,
you're the oldest on the
if
team.
I could go back right now and like join an 8th grade team.
Oh, 8th grade. You're not even going high school.
Well, high school guys, they're pretty big now.
They'd probably get you.
They'd run past me like gazelles.
But 8th grade, I mean, you shaved your face the other day. You could have passed for an 8th grader.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just block the heck out
Oh
of
my
these little
gosh,
kids.
laying out all the little ones, Billy Madison style. Tight end. Oh, I think we got.
Yeah, before we jump with the tight ends, want to thank today's sponsor, Screen Dive. You got to check out this podcast from 20th Century Fox comes Screen Dive, the first podcast developed and produced by a major Hollywood studio. Screen Dive re-examines some of our most beloved films through new interviews with the artists who brought them to life, like writer-director James Cameron and more. Each episode focuses on one classic Fox film and a specific artistic question or challenge that digs beyond what we already know about the films. We're talking like The Sandlot, Super Troopers, Planet of the Apes, Deadpool. I mean, these are movies that we love. I mean, come on, Super Troopers?
No, it's pretty good.
I'm going to dive into that. Screen dive into Super Troopers when they're talking about it. And through a blend of behind-the-scenes insights, how-tos, and expert exploration, Screen Dive is the perfect new podcast for film buffs and aspiring artists alike. Listen to Screen Dive on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, or wherever else you like to listen.
And hey, Foot Clan, November is here. You can get Black Friday pricing on all sorts of things. This is the time to take advantage of Indochino's made-to-measure premium custom suits. You've heard me talk about it for a long time. It is absolutely the best thing that I have to wear. They're the best-fitting pants, the best-fitting jacket. I mean, everybody needs a suit in their life for every kind of special event, whether it's, a wedding or your work or just, maybe you're staying at home and you just want to look unbelievably good.
You playing Red Dead in your suit.
Red Dead in your suit. Yeah. Very nice. Look, right now, Indochino, you are getting up to 70% off of everything for Black Friday season. You can customize everything. Just go to Indochino.com. Use the code FOOTBALLERS at checkout to take advantage of Black Friday pricing. That's 70% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit, and shipping is free. That's Indochino.com. Promo code FOOTBALLERS to save up to 70% off. It's an incredible deal. Once you go custom, you won't go rack.
Oh, very nice.
I say
I can appreciate that.
You either go custom or you go bustom.
No. I like Jason's more. Yeah, the real one's much better.
You guys suck.
Travis Kelce did Travis Kelce things. O.J. Howard had a monster week, 2 touchdowns. O.J. Howard we'll talk about in a moment. We know about George Kittle on Thursday night. But Greg Olsen, 6 for 76 and a touchdown.
Hey, Greg.
Mike's tight end start of the week.
Yeah.
O.J. Howard was my start. We did all right with tight ends.
Yes. That came through.
But Jeff Heuerman.
Yes.
That's the one to talk about.
He needs to be talked about because of the 11 targets, and it was Demaryius Thomas was shipped out of town. Where are those targets going to go? Well, we're only 1 week in, and this could just be a complete fluke. But right now, they're going to the tight end. I mean, he's filling that void as the third pass catcher, taking the underneath routes. And everything.
I think his target count will go up, but I don't want to overreact in this game because this is when you play against the Houston defensive line and J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, you have to have extra tight ends on the field, and you've got to beat them. The commentators were talking about this in the game too.
A lot of screen passes.
They have to beat. You got to beat the pass rush by throwing to the tight end on those little screens to keep them honest. So I think there's a little bit of that going on with the target count here. I do think Heuerman will have an uptick from pre-DT days, but it won't be this high.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. And Herndon, and Heuerman, they're in the same category as flyer tight ends for me. But you're right. I mean, they're the best defensive line. They couldn't run against them. Lindsey, who's averaging 5.7 a carry, was only 3.7 in this game, fighting through it. So, and then
stupid Nick Vannett.
Nick Vannett 6 for 52 and a touchdown.
We had
you're stealing all Ed Dickson's work, bro.
Just real quick on the wide receiver front. Did we talk about Keenan Allen?
No, but I should have.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, do you count this as a breakout when he didn't score?
So 6 for 24, 10
6 for 124.
Thank you. 6 for 124. He had 10 targets. He was taking shots deep. Yeah, the touchdown didn't come through. But is this the type of game that can jumpstart things for Keenan Allen, or is this just part of the ebbs and flows?
I feel like it was a breakout. I mean, it was down the field routes that looked different to me. The target's high. I mean, this was just really a slight step up over what he's been doing. He has not been bad. He's just been feeling bad without touchdowns. But, I would say this was a great game. I don't know that it propels him to do more, but it just shows that this is –
it's like a lawnmower, man. I mean, sometimes it takes a few – pulls on the string, but then once the motor's going, it's going.
It was last year for Keenan.
And Rivers did throw 2 touchdowns, 1 to each of the Williams bros.
Well,
they're bigger.
Hey,
that's not fair.
If you got that Mike Williams touchdown, congratulations on your BS, because he stepped out at least 3 times.
Mike was angry about that.
Yeah, I mean,
we're in it with you, Foot Clan, because Mike was facing Mike Williams. That's the only reason that visceral is there.
I was
vitriol,
furious. Because that was garbage.
Okay.
Rising Stars of the Week.
Unless you owned him.
Yeah, that's what I said. If you had him, congratulations on your fake touchdown.
All right, my Rising Stars of the Week, I'm going 2-pack because I make the rules. So it doesn't – I can do whatever I want. And it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, and it is Aaron Jones.
Yes.
Running back for the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
Now, listen, Aaron Jones did not have the quote-unquote breakout game, but he has whittled the bars down to a thin string, and he is ready to break out.
Yeah.
It is coming. If you know, look, Aaron Jones right now is averaging more yards per carry than anybody in football.
I was just going to throw out, I'm looking at his game log. His game, the lowest yards per attempt in a single game he's had this year was 5.13.
Yeah, and here's the thing about I want to speak to this because your expectations need to be understood for both these guys. And Marquez Valdes-Scantling, by far, outside of Devontae Adams, is the most talented receiver they have. 2 contested catches down the field, just missed on a couple deep plays. In fact, if he had thrown the ball correctly on the first deep target, it's like a 60-yard touchdown to Marquez. But here's what I saw in that game, and obviously, Jason brings up Jamal Williams. You have a very Lindsey Booker situation here where there are packages, and you can see this if you go back and watch the game. There are packages where both Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Aaron Jones leave the field together, and you know who comes in? EQ, so Equanimeous St. Brown, and Jamal Williams. So they have some sort of packages where they both leave the field, and you get EQ some snaps and Jamal Williams some snaps. I'm not saying Williams is not valuable, but Aaron Jones missed a touchdown again by a couple of yards, breaking it through the middle. And he is by far these are two talents they have to use if they want to win.
Yeah, and it's really nice that the trade deadline is passed because, the fumble that really changed everything in this game, he can't be Ty Montgomery.
He did fumble. You're dead on. That's correct. I think I want fumbles plus 5.1 for a carry.
Yeah, no, look,
over no fumbles and 2 a carry.
I don't mind Aaron Jones despite the fact that he fumbled. It was devastating for the Packers. He was benched after that. I don't mind him being a start of the week because if you look at the snap counts, you look at the carry distribution, his arrow is pointing up for sure.
Most carries of the year, 14.
Yeah, so I got no problem with that. I like it.
I think he's going to get some targets too. Now, the time Montgomery's gone, you saw it a little bit last night. He was in those situations, got a couple of catches, but I think it's interesting.
He also did whiff hard on a really important pass protection, but he is a great running back.
So you watch him with a very critical eye.
I think I do, yeah.
Strange.
But in fairness, I
don't know why you would bring
critical eye.
Yeah, no, you do not. What did Jamal Williams do wrong last night?
He was slow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
plotting.
What play was that?
All of them.
Okay. Yeah.
My rising star.
He does not get to celebrate. He does not get on the bandwagon with us.
No.
I'm kicking him in the face with,
you're
my
not allowed on.
with my cowboy boot. He is not on.
I don't even want on.
He already tried to be on the past couple weeks. I've said forever he's the best player.
Nope,
Look,
I don't want on.
Stay away.
I'm taking my ball. I'm going home.
Whenever I'm on a bandwagon, all are always welcome. Always. But not this time,
No.
Jason.
Jason can let Jamal Williams
You can hang
carry
out with
him.
Jamal Williams.
Enjoy yourself.
I will. We'll have a blast.
Yeah, you guys are
He
gonna
runs like he has Jason on his back anyway.
You're going to be in your little red wagon.
Yeah, that's
while we're in
right.
a Ferrari.
That's right. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones time.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How many successful fantasy games has Aaron Jones had so far on this wagon?
It's how many he ends the season with.
Okay, good. Oh, I was just curious. My
I'm going to say
star,
3, though. I'm going to say 3 out of his 6 games.
My rising star is O.J. Howard, and obviously he's been doing great this season. The reason I'm making him my rising star is because I think the level up is complete, and I'm not afraid of the Ryan Fitzpatrick. We've been talking about, okay, he's so much better when he's got Winston, who hyper-targets the tight ends. Ryan Fitzpatrick has a history of really throwing to wide receivers, and it is true. The game splits right now between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston. They're better with Winston, but they're still over 11 points a game in PPR with Fitz magic.
He's scoring so much.
He's
the
just clear-cut number 1 tight end, and he was drafted to be a Gronk. He was drafted to be one of the best type of tight ends in the league where you can
He's 100% snap type of guy.
Yeah, you can run block better than anybody. You can nobody can cover you because you can catch the ball. Nobody could tackle you because you're
Jamal Williams
Zeus.
size.
Yeah, exactly. So O.J. Howard to me is a star in the making. If you have grabbed
what
him
tight ends would you want over him right now?
Over him, obviously you'd take Kelsey Ertz. Then I think I would probably Kittle is above him, but he's basically in about that same tier.
I agree.
Greg Olsen, if he's healthy, but Greg Olsen carries that risk, so he's a little bit lower. I think it's basically O.J. Howard 4.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't have a lot of guys I don't want over him. I still think Gronk, if he can get back healthy, he's going to make an end-of-year impact.
I completely forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Mike, who's your rising star?
So my rising star, this one's not a barn burner, but at this point, you got to get help wherever you can get it. I want to talk about Elijah McGuire, running back for the New York Jets. Came off of the IR, was activated, immediately came in and played 54% of the snaps compared to Isaiah Crowell, he's been their guy, and it was a positive game script for Crowell, but Crowell was only in on 34% of the snaps. I mean, the game went to Elijah McGuire. He only had the 10 touches, but he went right into the Bilal Powell role. And Bilal Powell, in his time, he was just outside of the fringe of being a running back too. That's why I said this isn't a barn burner, but this is a running back you can pick up. You can play in the bye weeks, which they're still going on.
Yep.
You can play him in the flex. The fact that this game was close and they went to McGuire so heavily.
I was really, really hesitant about your endorsement of McGuire last week. I had to put two hands over my mouth not to object to it on the air, but I didn't because my hesitation was based around the injury, and I just wanted to listen to what you said because there was a chance he was healthier than we thought, and apparently he was. So kudos to you on that call. McGuire looks interesting.
Right.
He looks interesting. It is worth noting. Next week against Buffalo, which, Jordan Howard was fine, but Buffalo's defense has been okay, and then that follows that with a bye week. So it's not the best next 2 weeks.
All right, let's get into the poopers.
Pooped in his big boy pants.
I'm sure our friends at Fantasy Champs wouldn't like their name being brought up right after pooped in their big boy pants, but that previous Rising Stars segment was brought to you by Fantasy Champs. You can get fantasy trophies, jerseys, rings, that type of stuff. Let's start here because I've done some research here. Kirk Cousins, 18 for 22 for only 164 and one pick in this game, played Detroit. Now, I'm facing Mike this next week, and Mike has been a Kirk Cousins starter all year long. Now, Kirk is on the bye, and I told Mike, I said, I think this is a blessing in disguise for you. I looked into these numbers, okay? Kirk Cousins is the number 3, going to this week, he's the number 3 fantasy quarterback on the season, okay?
In our league.
In our league.
Yes.
Yes, it's small variance, but yes. The point is that his total numbers are very, very good. If you take, now you can't take, he gives you the chance of the 40-point game, right? Mm-hmm. He's played 9 games. He's had 2 in the upper 40s in our league format. If you remove those 2 games, his 7 other games, he's averaging 20 fantasy points a game, which is good enough for 21st in our league format. So if you didn't get the 2 big ones, or if you got those, he's actually hurting you the remaining 7 games. So it's a little bit of that.
It's very Cam Newton-y
from years ago.
Every year except this one.
Right.
Yeah, where it's a little surprising. And the thing about Cousins is you haven't been able to predict when this happens. Yesterday was his worst game of the year, statistically, in terms of fantasy production. And it came against Detroit.
Yeah,
a game that you thought was going to be okay. Now, you didn't have Stephon Diggs.
And they also didn't really need their offense.
This is true, but
I think that the way I saw the game unfold, and I'm not arguing with you about Kirk Cousins has been very mediocre except for those 2 games where he inflated his numbers. But if you're watching the game, Detroit could do nothing.
But
on
this
offense.
was the problem with Kirk Cousins before the season.
Yeah,
this was the objection.
Keenan.
You never say Pat. I mean, how many times have the Chiefs needed their offense this year?
Every
time.
game.
Well, the point is, even when they're up by 100, we don't make the excuse. Pat Mahomes still puts up numbers, right? So they've won more games by a wider margin than just about anybody in football. But the strategic, situation between Zimmer and Andy Reid gives a higher variance to Kirk Cousins' fantasy output.
Yes.
And so they can get on top early, and they can soak up some more clock in Minnesota where it still seems to be high-flying fun for Kansas City. And obviously the Minnesota defense is much better than Kansas City's. But it doesn't mean you're not dropping Kirk Cousins.
Right.
I wouldn't play him on the bye.
Yeah, solid.
But he would have similar production to this past week.
No, I agree. We talked about this before the season, and we looked back at Case Keenan when he had a great year. He had so many good games, but the games he didn't have good games weren't because the team won, and they won on defense, and he'd throw the ball 20 times. Well, Kirk Cousins threw the ball 22 times, and unless you're having those crazy, hyper-efficient Deshaun Watson touchdown games, that volume is not going to get it done. And you're going to have more of these with Kirk Cousins. I think you need to downgrade him to a matchup play. You need to play him against another team that you're confident could score on the Vikings. And keep in mind, the Vikings defense, it's starting to shape up.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Their defense did not look great to start the year, but right now, and especially coming off the bye when Xavier Rhodes will be a little bit healthier, I think their defense is looking scary.
Wasn't a huge fan of Mitch Trubisky this week. He had a bad game, 12 for 20 for 135 and 1. Again, the defense scored twice. It disrupts everything when that happens. Time of possession, opportunities to score, and the need to score. Matthew Stafford sacked 10 times.
Every single time. They were in the red zone, and he would drop back to pass. You felt like he was
lose
getting
10,
sacked.
It
10
seemed
15
like
yards.
It's a shame that the trade deadline is
They
passed,
needed
'cause
Golden Tate.
I was going to say they should go after that Golden Tate guy. I mean, it really looked like they missed him big time. He did not have a clear-cut first read to go to that he was comfortable with. And, I guess
What
you
are
just
you
hoped.
doing? I mean, what are you doing, Detroit? Why are you trading Golden Tate?
What's crazy about that, and maybe
I don't get it.
Maybe I've got it wrong, right? They're going to lose him in the offseason, so they want to get something for him. But it's my understanding that if they would have lost him, they probably would have got a third-round compensatory draft pick.
Yeah, based on if they bring anybody in the contract,
Right.
I mean,
things like
they're
that.
3-4 when they make the trade, but your division leaders were at 4-3 at that point. So you're like a game out of a first-place tie. It just seems strange to me because
sometimes you look in the mirror and you see who you really are, and you just accept it.
that's what it seems to be. That's what it seems to be. All right, running back poopers. There were plenty that disappointed you.
Yeah,
Adrian Peterson,
Big time.
that one was shocking.
bad.
Only 9 carries.
This is why. Didn't you just endorse someone up against Atlanta next week? Like you said,
Duke Johnson,
I'm going to chase Duke against Atlanta.
Yeah,
The
pass
thing is
catcher.
the pass-catching running backs are who are really valuable against Atlanta. That's why I was making the somewhat case for Capri Bibbs this
Right.
last week. Those pass catchers, Atlanta is terrible against them.
Tariq Cohen, 6 carries, 5 yards, 1 catch for 8 yards, faces Detroit, Minnesota, Detroit the next 3 games. Do you just chalk this one up to defensive scores and
do.
problems, and then you get Detroit next week at home and we roll them back out there?
I would.
Got to make a call here, Mike, Jason. Mark Ingram, 9 for 33.
And fumbled, didn't he?
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw somebody wrote one of their puns was Mark Ingram it up the middle and gained no yards.
It's not bad.
Not great, though.
But, yeah.
9 for 33, though, and here's the thing. He doesn't have he had a bad fumble. Alvin Kamara is another tier above him in talent, in all capacities. He's a better pass catcher. He seems to be a better goal line back. He's a better between the tackles runner. He has big playability that Ingram doesn't seem to have right now. And Ingram is an impending free agent. We all hoped the Mark Ingram would come back and be the Mark Ingram of last year.
Right.
But now, what is he? Because he's killing people, especially on the bye weeks.
The way I am looking at him moving forward is he has a low-end running back too, but he at least carries some upside. I mean, his snap percentage has been consistent, so it wasn't a drop in snaps. He just had lost opportunities this week instead of the double-digit carries and a couple more receptions. His touch total went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized this was a putrid game out of Ingram, and it didn't work well. I'm still not off of Ingram from this. Like you said, the snap percentage has been there. The offense is there.
Mark Ingram or Matt Breida, rest of season, because Breida, no Mostert.
I would still take Mark Ingram.
I would take Breida, even with the injury risk.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to Kerryon, 12 for 37. Lamar Miller. Mike and our eyes were rolling in the back of our heads because he was out touched. After 2 straight 100-yard games, he was out touched by Alfred Blue, 16-15. And the quote from Bill O'Brien was essentially, we don't want to run him into the ground like we've done in years past. So they snuck a win out against Denver, but it was, if you can't predict that type of thing, that hurts. I mean,
Yeah,
Lamar Miller,
it was super
12 for
unfortunate.
21. Kenyan Drake, terrible game, whereas Gore
He is infinite.
had 20 carries.
20 carries. Well, I mean, he was just tearing it up. You got to keep giving that guy the ball.
That was a weird
2.6
game, though, too.
2.6 yards a
It
carry.
was a weird game.
The bad field. Maybe they felt more confident just giving Gore the ball on the bad field, and they won it. So, but yes, Kenyan Drake 3 for 9, 4 for 26. A lot of these players, Cohen, Peterson, Drake, Miller, who have all been on fire, slowed down this week. They were all constipated, and they had to let one go. All right, Isaiah Crowell included 13 for 49.
Yeah.
Has Buffalo next week. That's been brought up. And then carry on with Riddick back and Riddick getting 7 carries? Or is it 7 catches? Brooks? Is that 7 carries or 7 catches?
That's 7 catches on 8 targets.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Carry on.
That was the problem because Detroit was down. They had to throw the ball, and Theo was back, and he took over that role again.
Yeah, Carry on saw his snaps drop almost about 30% from 2 weeks ago.
That's trash.
It's a big problem.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, I mean when I look at the future of Carry On, and in a dynasty league format, I'm excited because we know LeGarrette Blount. Even if he's for some reason comes back next year, he's going to be nothing. Carry On will take over that role, but it's really Theo Riddick that is the problem. He's the guy you've got to get rid of because Carry On is so capable in that pass catching role, and they're not using him while Theo is there.
Yeah.
They should have included. They should have thrown Theo in with
Just as
the
a
Tate
bonus?
with the Tate deal because we know that Philadelphia could use a running back.
Yeah,
So that would have been nice.
Theo is under contract for next year, and he's super cheap. So
Do you believe?
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Do you believe that we've reached the stage? The Foot Clan supporting us. The show's very influential now. Do you think we can put in calls to these GMs and they'll listen to us?
Probably.
Brooks.
Yeah. I don't even think we need to call them. We know they're listening to the podcast.
Oh,
They're
so
getting
just
their
ask
hot
them.
tips from
Yeah.
us.
You darn right.
It would be smart. It would be super smart.
Oh, yeah.
Except
Everything is, you only need one running back on your team.
yes, all of our
And it's like do you remember the commercial with Brees where he was at the fantasy school and they're like, okay, what do you do on this play, Drew?
Go long.
Go deep. That's right. Everything you go deep.
You're darn right. Wide receivers that poop their pants: Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Chris Godwin, also known as non-Adam Humphries. A total of 5 catches between the 3 of them. Mind you, 5 catches on 17 targets. That is a quarterback problem.
Yeah, it certainly was.
One would say that Tampa has a quarterback problem
Big time.
in general.
Big time.
Do they have a system where they can take both guys and melt them down into one?
Put them in a pod chamber like the Fly.
Yeah, and just create.
Make one guy.
I actually think they are the same.
I was going to say, if you
guy.
combine them, do you know how many interceptions you would have?
If you combine them, you'll just have the exact same player. A guy who's going to throw a ton of picks, a ton of deep balls.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, for fantasy is just fine. For fantasy,
Yeah.
as far as the quarterback.
I'm picturing Jameis Winston with a big old beard now, though.
Oh, that would
that'd
be
be
sweet.
awesome.
Jameis, grow the beard.
That's your only chance. You got to trick him into the fact you're Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Jamin Winston-Magic.
Oh.
That's a weird name. John Brown against Pittsburgh, 3 for 17
man.
on 6
Boo.
targets. That was a huge disappointment. Kenny Golladay being the guy meant nothing. 3 for 46. And then the Broncos wideouts. Emmanuel Sanders had 9 targets. Cortland Sutton had 5 targets. But, look, Houston's just playing well right now. They've won a number of games in a row. They shut them down. And the majority of targets went to the tight end to avoid the pass rush and to avoid running the ball. So, Devin Funchess, disappointment. DJ Moore, disappointment
Yeah,
despite
that's
the
all
blowout.
Curtis Samuel.
Yep.
And then, don't buy into Devontae Parker. Kenny Stills returned. Devontae Parker went the way of the 1 for 8.
Which was crazy. Hopefully people are paying attention on Sunday. This is why we have the Sunday Live stream, so you can get all the
Yes.
breaking news, because
This didn't happen.
Kenny Stills was reported out by Adam Schefter.
And then?
And then he warmed up, and apparently that was good enough. And he played. And Devontae Parker saw a downturn because of it.
Got to avoid all the targets for Sam Darnold at this point. Quincy Enunwa, Robbie Anderson, and Jermaine Kearse combined for, 3 for 40, 4 for 32, 3 for 20 on 19 total targets.
No,
and they have the
thank
bye
you.
next week. You can dump them all.
Yep.
Tyler Lockett, 3 for 22. This is the 4th straight week where Lockett only has 4 targets or fewer. Look, he's touchdown or bust guy.
100%.
He does score. But,
I was going to say, it's
but
worked out
when he
pretty
doesn't,
well on searching for the touchdown. And, in fact, in this game, he really almost had the touchdown, but the pass interference call and really the pass interference took it away.
he's a fringe guy, though. I mean, on the year before this week, he was barely on the wide receiver 2 edge. So, Ed Dickson, Jason, speak to Ed Dickson for as long as you'd like.
Red did.
Nothing to see here. Let's talk about Jared Cook.
Yeah, he stunk. Kyle Rudolph did his thing, 2 for 28. Loves it. He loves 2 for 28. Vance McDonald, disappointing game.
Recover a fake touchdown.
Yeah, he did.
He got a touchdown for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then they took it away. Jordan Reed, 4 for 34. Look,
that one is really
Vernon Davis
concerning.
looks better than Jordan Reed. End of story.
Yeah.
He just looks better. And then Austin Hooper, 3 for 41. He has returned to earth. He had a couple nice games. That was fun talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
I want to answer a couple mailbag questions before we leave. You guys up for it?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Mailbag.
Got a couple questions for tonight. So
Oh,
I
no. I've changed my mind.
Well, if you have a question, you go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the Submit a Question button. You can also dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. That's 302-464-TFFB. First question, Anthony in Long Island. He is down 8.5 points in a half-point per reception league. Does he start Corey Davis tonight or Amari Cooper in his Dallas debut?
Wow.
I side with Cooper as well.
Cooper.
At
Yeah.
home, they want to feed him.
Yeah, I mean, it's I do too.
You can't give a first-round pick for a wide receiver on basically an expiring contract.
We saw the beginning.
And not just
It's like Demarius.
feed.
Yeah, I was going to say the beginning of the Houston game featured Demaryius Thomas left, right, and center. They're like, hey, let's come out, get this new weapon involved. This is coming off a bye week for Dallas. And if you look at Corey Davis, if you're down by 8 points, only twice this year, assuming you're in a half-point or better league, would you have gotten that from Corey Davis? So here's hoping Corey Davis does nothing.
This is a ridiculous situation. Chris in Baltimore, I need 1.1 points to win my match. Gronk went out. Which tight end do I play in Monday Night Football?
Wow.
Now, has Jonnu Smith caught a pass
Yes.
lately?
Lately?
So here's the problem, because I think you could have easily accomplished this if Jeff Swaim were healthy, but he's doubtful for tonight.
That could be good news, though.
It could be, but now you have to like
Guessing game.
Swaim was easy. He's
Jonnu Smith.
Swaim would catch
That's my call.
at least 2 or 3 passes, and you'd be easy. I think I would play Blake Jarwin.
That's who I would go with as well. I would play Blake Jarwin.
but
I mean, Blake Jarwin has 2 receptions, I believe, in his career. So this is not.
I would not play Blake Jarwin. I would not lean into because the strategy for Dallas isn't so tight end heavy to where just because Swaim is down, they're going to hit Jarwin up. I think I'd play Jonnu. Jonnu would have won you the past 2 weeks.
Rico gathers. Can I
No.
get a Rico?
Oh, gosh.
no.
Rico
No.
would win you a game once every 36 starts.
Yeah, you know what? With Amari Cooper in tow, I'm pivoting. I'm going to go
Jonnu. Maybe 2 catches, Jonnu.
That is the funniest question. I feel like that's the coolest, the funniest, and the grossest question we've ever received because it's so legit. I mean, it's you only need 1.1 points, so you should be able to do this.
Well, and yesterday,
But it's the 3 grossest options of all time.
we knew that Gronk was going to miss. Pretty much knew that the odds were likely. I pivoted to Chris Herndon in one of my leagues. Mike, you pivoted to
Ben Watson.
So, look, I want to know how this ends for you.
Yes. Yeah,
So we'll check the box score for the whole tight end position and see if anybody would have won you the week after tonight. Last question here, Bryce in Tampa. Andy Dalton or Carson Wentz rest of season? That's Carson Wentz for me
Carson Wentz.
with the injuries
Yes.
and with Golden Tate
With
being
or
added.
without the injuries.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, thank you for tuning in, supporting the show. If you want access to premium projections, our fantasy community, and a whole lot more, you can learn more at jointhefoot.com. Thank you so much.
You can also check out draft.com/ballers, our studio sponsor. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.